All right, guys, cars for losers or loser cars. We've got a lot of listings to cover tonight on Bid Nerds. We have real experts tonight, and the results from the last episode, I think, are, well, a lot of losers, I think. So let's get to it. This is Bid Nerds. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show. Yes, it is. Welcome, everybody. We are live here from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas. My name is John Polnick. I'll be your host for the next hour, along with my partner, Michael Deeb, on the far side of the screen over there. And in between us, look at that, real experts. We've got Tony Angelo from Stay Tuned. He's slumming it with us. Welcome to the show. Tony, what's happening?
What's up, Tony?
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. I usually get crushed at these games, so I'm trying to bring it out, bring some heat, and I feel like this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm pumped.
That's what all our big time guests say, and then they wind up wiping the floor with us. So I feel like we've got a bit of a ringer here going on, but we'll see how this goes, right? All right, guys, if you are new to the show, if you're here because you heard Tony was going to be here and you're like, what is Bid Nerds? What is that all about? What we do is we analyze listings on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, sometimes P-Car Market. We analyze those listings and we make predictions. We will tell you what we think will happen as a result of those listings. We will tell you what the cars will hammer for, and we always start off every episode by going over our predictions from the last episode, which is a weird thing to do on the internet there, Tony. We hold ourselves accountable. That's odd. I know. You're like, oh, okay. What is this? Right? But here it is. We're going to put our money where our mouth is, and then we'll have all new predictions halfway through the show. So we've got a great lineup of cars. Let's get to it. Michael D., what was the first car on the list?
All right, JP, we are going to start off tonight by circling back to a modified 1973 Datsun 240Z with a 5-speed transmission that ran as an alumni listing on Bring a Trailer out of Jamestown, Rhode Island. True mileage unknown on this car, but we've got a 2.4-liter inline-6 triple Weber carburetors, 5-speed manual. Car has been repainted in metallic gray. It's got gorgeous 15-inch Roto wheels in like a matte black. Totally digging the stance on this car, JP. Obviously, they did brakes and adjustable coilovers and suspension and all sorts of things. Front air dam, Sparco steering wheel, Cobra bucket seats, and the list goes on and on and on. So, JP, we have seen, kind of collector grade original 240Zs. The really good examples have all the ability in the world to go up into the 6-figure range. The question here with a beautiful car like this is, do the mods hurt or help this particular car? Now, we don't know what the donor car looked like, but the finished product here, JP, looks like a car I would absolutely love to drive. I am digging the way this car looks, and I hoped it would do really, really well. JP, we talked to our friends at Classic.com, and they tell us that the average 73 Datsun 240Z is typically a $35,000 car in the secondary market. I'll kick off the bidding, JP. Even though I wasn't on the last show, I thought this car had a chance to hammer for around $42,000. JP, it appears to me by your bid that you really like the car that we see here, because I'm looking at your bid at $52,240. Buddha was one of our guest hosts on the last show. He came in between you and I at $47,000. And Andy also joined us, I guess, JP, as fourth nerd. And Andy was closer to you at 49. So, Tony, we're going to throw you to the fire. Welcome to the show. The average 240Z, one of these early sort of Series 1 cars, is about $35,000. The nice ones can bring $100,000. But what do the mods do to help a car like this? Apparently, I was just about the low man at 42, and JP was the high man at 52. What do you like about 240Zs? Do you like the car you see here? And please throw a bid at this vehicle, and we'll get to the result.
Well, obviously, super iconic car. This is one of the early ones, so it doesn't have the giant bumpers. They really retained a lot of the car's original style. What's really cool about these cars is that it's one of the only super old cars that actually drives well. You can jump in this car and hammer it around. My buddy has a super nice one, very similar to this, actually. My buddy CJ, and I drove it through the mountains in Denver. Really fun car. Again, so many of the cars we work on that are old 60s that had all this sporting intentions, they actually suck. They're terrible to drive. These are great. You can make them work really well. I guarantee, just from seeing, I think I'm seeing an R200 diff. I see a bunch of poly down there. That car's been worked over top to bottom. I think you guys are in the ballpark for sure. I would put it, again, really nice. I think it's tasteful. I think these modifications won't turn someone off because you still got the original style of the car, where like a lot of I think the crazy long nose and stuff like that could turn some people off. Like the custom front ends people do on them. I think this is cool. I would say you're in the ballpark. I would go I'd say 48 would be my guess.
48. Very good. So, Tony, just for disclosure, JP and I do the show together for a number of years, and every once in a while, one of us misses a show. I wasn't on the last show, but I placed my bids to add to the fervor for JP, Buddha, and Andy to talk about. I wasn't even there, and I wiped the floor with these guys. Our car hammered for just $40,250 where it's sold on 48 bids. JP, I didn't take a deep dive on this car, but man, at 40 grand, and given everything that we just heard Tony say about the work that he sees, all the polyurethane bushings underneath the car, the fact that it's got a limited slip differential, I see a very unique roll bar at the top of the rear strut tower brace. I'm really digging this car at 40,000 and a sell. I'm going to say well bought. That looks like a hell of a lot of fun and a hell of a lot of car for the money. I'm thinking if I went out and asked Tony to help me build this car, I'm in 80 to 100 grand, and that might not even include the donor car. So I like what this guy bought for 40,000. Well bought. JP, what do you make of that result?
Yeah, I was absolutely fawning over this car in the last episode. Here's the thing, guys. The theme of the show tonight is losers, and I think the seller, unfortunately, is a big-time loser in this particular situation. We noted on the last episode that this car was bought in 2022. This was an alumni listing, and the car sold for $49,000. So this guy lost $7 grand. That's just your straight-up net $7,000 loss. Never mind the 20% a year on inflation. I think this guy is a huge loser, and it's really, really sad because the car is a straight up winner. You start looking at the details. Tony was nailing it when he's picking up all the different, mods that are on here, and they're not cheap mods. I think the problem with these cars, though, as much as I love them, my partner and I, Deeb, are boomer adjacent. We're Gen Xers. So we like 60s and 70s cars. A lot of the boomers are getting out of the market. And most of us Gen Xers, we're getting Porsches. We're not buying old Datsuns and Nissans and stuff. The folks that like the JDM stuff, they want the 80s and 90s and newer Japanese cars. So I think these 240s are they're in an sometimes cars are in the sweet spot. This is kind of a bitter place to be, unfortunately. But wow, someone got an amazing deal. I would love to get behind the wheel of this car and see what it's like. If it drives half as well as it looks, somebody got a great car. Tony, what do you think of that result?
I think it sounds good. I mean, it's definitely a good buy. I was originally feeling a little bit lower just because the overall market feels pretty soft compared to where it was a couple years ago, which is, I think, reflected in how much money that guy lost on that thing. But all in all, wicked car. I mean, it's just, I guarantee that thing does everything well. Stops, goes, sounds incredible, is fun to toss around. So I think for 40, very solid.
Yeah, it's not exactly a good time of year to sell something on the East Coast right now, too. I mean, you guys are starting to see snow and stuff like that already. It's still nice here on the West Coast.
Yeah.
All right,
for sure.
What do you guys think of the results of this little Z car? Let us know in the comments. Is the seller a loser, or was he smart to take the money and run? Let's move on. What was the next car on the list?
All right, JP, we are going to bounce over to P-Car Market and take a look at a 2002 Porsche 996 generation GT2. Our car has just 38,000 miles on the odometer and looks to be a surprisingly no-nonsense listing from P-Car Market. And usually all those words don't fit in the same sentence if P-Car Market is included in that sentence. Our car has, again, fair mileage and is listed out of Frederick, Maryland. JP, GT2s are, I think, quietly on the rise, maybe just a little bit. 997s, you could argue, are such a good car that maybe they're almost undiscovered because 997, at least the early GT2s, I think should be $500,000 cars. You could still get one for around 300. 996s, I think they should be $250,000 cars. And routinely you can buy them for well under $200,000. But it's interesting to see where they might be going. Fewer and fewer of them seem to come to market. And so I thought this might be a good time to see what they look like. Now, on average, according to our friends at classic.com, a 996 GT2 is about $181,000 conversation. I thought this car would do that well simply because I don't remember seeing one recently. And so with that in mind, I bid $186,000 and thought that this car actually had a really good chance to sell from my number on the listing, which normally we don't think will happen when we look at any cars on PCAR Market. But if I remember, JP, the car was already at like $120,000, $140,000. JP, you took the under at just $120,996, so about 65 grand underneath me. Buddha is right in between us at 160, and Andy is right in between Buddha and me at 175. So, Tony, a huge spread on this one. Not a lot of 996 GT2s come to market. PCAR Market maybe isn't the greatest place to get a retail number. What do you think this car might have hammered for? And have you ever hammered a GT2 yourself?
I've had 3 996s now. I'm pretty familiar with them. I really think it's a great car, great driver. If you get a 996-1 full analog, last full analog car, wicked. I've been digging into the turbos now, kind of watching the values. They were, in the 30s 10 years ago. I think they're double that now. And I didn't really know until someone I knew was tried to sell me a GT2 how special they are, how sought after they are, and how valuable they are. But it's still a 996. Apparently it's an absolute monster. It's supposed to be fantastic to drive. It has all the right stuff on it. I put them a little bit over the GT3. I think to me now is about 100 from what I've seen, 90, 100, 110. And this car's 38,000 miles. So for super collectible, it's a little bit up there. For a driver, it's totally fine. And obviously for a Porsche, you could add a 0 to it probably. But I would put it on the little bit on the lower end. I'm thinking 135, 138, somewhere in there. Let's say 138.
138. So, Tony, you would have gotten your first win. Our car hammered for $146,000 where it sold on a respectable, JP, 47 bids. Every once in a while, JP, PCAR Market pulls a rabbit out of the hat and does the job. The question I have for you, JP, you were kind of low on this one, a little bearish. I assume you were betting against the platform and not against the car with your basically $121,000 bid. My only question to you, JP, is I hand it over to you. When you see a car selling for $146,000 like this on PCAR Market, do you think the seller left money on the table had he gone to a different platform? Let's say bring a trailer. Is 146 a retail number for the car when I consider that your bid probably reflects the platform, JP?
Yeah, and by no means was my number reflective of what I think the car is actually worth. The seller, if you read the actual listing, is a widower. Or I'm sorry, not a widower, but an actual widow. This was her husband's car. He had a couple of Porsches. Apparently, he had sold a Speedster as well. And this is just so, PCAR Market, they're just such a bunch of losers. This is just, I can see them like cruising the funeral homes looking for, hey, any of these dead guys have any Porsches in there? Yeah, it's like, that's just their MO, right? This car should have brought so much more money. It is an absolute fantastic ride. These are coming up. The 996 GT3s are kind of holding, but the turbos are really taking off. This car should be worth way more money. I think the seller, unfortunately, is a loser here because she was represented by even a bigger loser, PCAR Market. What do you think, Tony?
I would buy it if I could at that number for sure. I don't think it's going down. I think the really collectible 996s like the GT3 and especially GT2, they're just going to keep going up. People know how good they are. They've gotten a lot of fanfare in the last 5 years as, 964s and stuff and go into the stratosphere. People are looking for a car they can, really drive and have fun with. That's not $300,000+. So I think these are great cars to buy and great cars to drive, and probably they'll appreciate as you have them.
Well, there you have it. Let us know what you guys think of the results on this GT2 in the comments, and let's move on. What's the next car on the list? Michael Deeb.
All right, JP. Somebody took a 1976 Porsche 912E and backdated it to look like an RS, a long hood RS. They issued the 4-cylinder 912 motor and put in a 2.7 liter flat six. The car has about 139,000 miles on it, 5-speed transmission. It's got cloth sport seats and a few other little doodads. Overall, the car is kind of a looker. I don't know enough about the engine. It looks to me like it's just sort of a basic engine, not an MFI motor. So I don't think it actually has RS performance, but just rather an RS look. JP, I was not high on this car at just looking at sort of my quick bid on the vehicle, but it turns out I was higher than everybody else. Classic.com tells us that a 912E that is standard is typically $41,000 in the secondary market. I thought this car might get up into the 70,000 range, so my bid was way out of the range at 76,000 bucks. JP, you were in at 45, Buddha was in at 35, and Andy was in at 49. All more reflective of the 912 values than some wannabe RS. Where you at, Tony? What do you think of people cloning a car and then throw a number at this little car here?
All right, so I am a lunatic about. I search stuff day in and day out. I looked at this car today. I know what it went for.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Okay.
But
so
what do you think when you glanced at it? Yeah, just what do you think when you glanced at it? What would you
I would
guess?
say mid-40s. Mid-40s. Yeah, okay. I know it's got a 2.7 6-cylinder in it. 912, if you want a driver, same car. If you turn it into a 911, I think it's a really cool way, again, to get something. I'm not real big on provenance. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Yeah. Right. I just want to, if I want it to look and feel like a 911 and it used to say 912 on it, I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. You can change every part. But I know what it went to. So if you want me to say.
And again, you and Andy and JP were all in the hunt. Our car did in fact hammer at $47,000, but it failed to sell at that number on 30 bids. So my question to you, JP, right off the bat, is should he have taken the money? I think everybody's going to say yes. It's probably a stupid leading question. JP, as I hand it over to you, what do you think this fool was looking for? I mean, I guess just over 50, or do you think this guy had like wild ideas in his mind? Where are you at?
I mean, that's why we call tonight's show Loser Cars. This is ridiculous. How did he not take this money? At first glance, on paper, there's a lot to like here. If you're gonna backdate a 911 a mid-year, you may as well start with a 912E. That's pretty much the worst car in this shape. But they just did a piss poor job with it. When you really start digging into it, you can see the back end has been sco-wished on this thing. All the details are wrong. The paint is dripping. I mean, you can see overspray everywhere. The seals aren't right. I mean, and I said it in the last episode. All that said is as a rat rod, this thing would probably be a lot of fun to rip around if you can get it inexpensively enough. But this loser just doesn't have realistic expectations. Thinking he's going to get much more than 45 for this thing he's just out to lunch. I mean, even the seller that was representing the car, the dealership, mentioned that like the sunroof doesn't work and just a litany of all kinds of issues. It's just sad to see that a car like this should be on the road, should be driven by someone who's going to love it, but instead it's going to sit in a garage unloved until this guy can figure out a way to unload it. Tony, what do you think of this result?
I think it's kind of right on. I think the buyers were right on. I think mid-40s is the peak I would pay. Again, you're not getting any of the resale out of it. You're not going to get a lot of the collectability out of it. You got to find someone just of your same mindset. I want it to look right. I want it to drive and be fun, but I'm not paying the premium. But I think seller is probably looking to get over 50, and it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Good point. All right, guys, let us know what you think of the results of this little 2.7 RS wannabe. Let us know in the comments. And what's next?
All right, JP, we're going to jump over to cars and bids as Doug DeMiro was selling a 2017 Jaguar F-Type coupe with a 6-speed manual. Our car has a supercharged V6. It's unmodified, and it's presented in the correct shade of British racing green. JP, I kind of dig the seats. They're pretty cool seats. They kind of they look like pole positions, And now we've got, 6-speed manual and 3 pedals. Is this the F-Type guys like us would actually like? Car looks to be in fairly decent condition. It's listed on a clean New Jersey title out of Trenton, and it has only 37,000 miles on the odometer. JP, our friends over at classic.com tell us that the average sale price for an F-Type in the secondary market is $34,000. I thought this car might suffer from the platform, so I was a bit bearish on this one. My bid, just $28,000. JP, you went to $35,000. Buddha was below you at $32,500, and Andy was below him at just $30,000. So, Tony, what do you say about an F-Type with a 6-speed manual, and throw a bid at this car here on Doug DeMuro's site?
Yeah, this is on Cars and Bids.
Yep.
Honestly, I think the 6-speed manual is probably worth half as much as the car is worth. I think it just because it's way more desirable. It's way cooler. I think it's super rare. I haven't seen many of these with the manual at all, which is got me intrigued. I look at those cars all the time. I'm like, it's a cool shape. It's an interesting car. It kind of feels like the Astons of those years, like the manual makes it way, way, way more interesting. I think you guys are all right on though. I was going to say 27 would be my guess.
Okay, 27.
Go. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you're just below me. JP was right on the money. And again, it kind of hit the classic average. Our car essentially hammering for $34,000, where it failed to sell on 38 bids. However, since then they have made a post-hammer deal, and the car sold for $36,000. Again, just on the other side of JP's bid. So JP really was literally right on the money on this, both at the hammer and at the sale price. JP, go ahead and give yourself 2 Bid Nerds branded cozies for getting a double Yahtzee on that one. John, I mean, really nice car. My question to you, JP, is as I throw back to you, do you think a car like this, not only is it well bought, but would you say, is there any sort of investment potential in grabbing a low mileage, fair condition, 6-speed F-Type? As F-Types continue to depreciate, do we think those very few 3-pedal F-Types might have a potentially bright future? I'm going to kind of give it to you. I'm going to lean in and say, I think this is really well bought, because this guy could drive this car for 4 or 5 years and might sell for 45, 50 grand. Yeah.
Yeah, because, you look at Jaguar as a manufacturer and a company, they're doing so great right now. They have a great future. People in the future are going to be going, oh, I want a Jag. Look, if Jaguar wanted to fix their damn company, they need to stop making goofy looking ads and weird, whatever androgynous guys jumping around, and just make cars like this. Make a bunch of stuff like this. Tony is a car guy. We're car guys. Most of us don't even know that they make 6-speed versions of this stupid thing. It just drives me nuts that cars like this kind of are they're just going to languish. I think the value of this is going to go down and down and down, because I think fewer and fewer people are going to even know that they're even there, which is great for the few people that do want one. Can you guys think of a car, at $35,000, $36,000, $37,000? Can you think of another car that's as awesome as this for that money? Porsche doesn't make it. I mean, what are you going to get, a Boxster or something for that money? I mean, who else makes something for $35,000 that's modern, Euro, 6-speed, has a shape like this? Can you think of anything that competes with this car? Either of you?
Yeah, 996 C4 coupe with a manual and maybe a .1.
Yeah.
You could get a C4S right around there. I saw one today at 36, but realistically, the Aston I was talking about, the Vantage, is you can't get a manual for that price. Yeah. It's a very cool car, and it is, it has some kind of cachet. It's a sweet Jaguar. It's got a good look. Manual is super cool.
The exhausts on these sound pretty good too. They do have a nice little.
If it has the sport exhaust, they sound magnificent. Yeah, if somebody really got into this car, laid it out, put some. I mean, it just has a lot of potential. It's a buy, right, for someone to get a great car. They're just not going to get any value out of it long term. All right, let us know what you think of the Jag. We talked too much about that. Let's move on. What's the next car, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, we got one more car to cover from the last show. We're going to stay on cars and bids and take a look at this 2002 Mercedes-Benz G Wagon. It's a G500 with 2 owners, running no reserve. on basically on Cars and Bids. The car is unmodified. It's down in Texas. It's on a clean Texas title out of Houston. It's showing 74,700 miles. JP, it says TMU. I don't know why. Again, I wasn't on the last show. But JP, correct me if I'm wrong. This is essentially the first version of the G Wagons that were legally for sale in the U.S. Is that correct to say? Am I doing that right?
Yeah, and just it needs to be noted too that this car is TMI, true mileage unknown, because the gauge cluster does not work at all.
Okay.
Like the whole gauge cluster is shot. So keep that in mind, Tony, as you're considering how much you'll bid for it.
Okay, cool. So anyways, JP, lots of recent service and, looks to be just like in fair condition. It's an early Jaguar. Would a car like this running no reserve turn out to be a pretty good value on Cars and Bids? JP, our friends over at classic.com tell us that the average of these first gen of the G Wagons bring typically $41,000 in the secondary market. I thought this car, before I kind of really took notice of the TMU, I thought this car had a chance to get to 35. JP, your bid was just above mine at 38. Buddha was below me at 32. And then Andy winds up being the high man and close to the classic average at 40. So, Tony, you went ooh when you saw this car. I'm guessing you've owned a G or two. What do you think of this car?
I have not, but they're on my short list for sure. I passed on one this week I shouldn't have passed on. These things are really great. They're a great value right now. Like, super iconic look. I don't like the later ones with all the feels like it has like a Bomex front bumper on it. They've got like 46 extra fog lights and a bunch of grills. They feel really dated, but this car has like a classic clean look. I know I have a couple buddies that have them. I think they trade. The one I saw today, like the lowest I've seen them is 28s, somewhere in there, mid 20s for like real high miles, North Jersey kind of thing. But I would put this car, the TMU is a bummer because I think it is pretty clean. But you guys are right on. I think you're all right in there. I was going to say 32, 34, something like that, because again, you're still getting a nice Mercedes. It's iconic. It's a really reliable setup. It's not some crazy supercharged motor, which I think most people that want a G Wagon just want to drive it around. They want to get around with it. They don't need all that. Look at it. It's awesome. I'll say 33.
33, and not a bad bid. I mean, you're just above Buddha, but your first instinct about sort of the high mileage and the Jersey cars in the mid 20s turned out to be more correct. Our car hammered for $25,000, meaning Tony missed out on two of these this week.
Yeah.
Our car sold for 21 bids because it was running no reserve. Tony, what do you make of that result at 25? Is that well bought or well sold?
That's well bought, man. It doesn't matter how many miles are on it, really. They go 160, 180, no problem. I think that's killer. Texas car, looks like no rust. I would buy it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, for 25 grand. Geez, what a steal. Even, the loser, again, the seller, I don't know how much it would cost to replace the dash, the cluster. It's probably $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, but I guarantee you that this car probably would have brought another $10,000 if the cluster had worked. This is easily a $35,000 G Wagon all day long, even TMU. But if that cluster works, you can say it's TMU, but everyone's going to look at it. The rest of the condition on everything else looks great. People will be like, all right, no problem. There were people in the comments talking about how they were like, I don't care that the cluster doesn't work. I'm going to drive it home without a cluster. I don't know how fast. I'll just bring a radar detector, and if I get pulled over, I'll be like, look, officer, it doesn't work. So, yeah, what do you guys think of the results of this G Wagon? We are just getting to new predictions. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks so much, Tony. We are not done. We're just getting started. So stick around. We will be right back with new predictions right after this. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair.
It sold in like less than a half hour, and I was like looking at other stuff this week, and I was like, man, should I pull the trigger on that?
Be careful what you say. We are live. We're back and live here. Tony's telling everybody about how he should have bought that G Wagon or a different one, and I'm with him there. All right, guys, we are going to make some predictions. This first car on the list we picked because of our special guest. We have admitted many times on the show that my partner and I, Deeb, don't really know our American cars very well, and I've been reading the comments. We try to read all the comments and get back to people. And, someone was complaining on how we should have more, affordable American muscle cars. We shouldn't talk about all these crazy $500,000 cars. Nobody can afford that. That's not, that's not relatable. And I'm just like looking at the analytics. When I look at our videos, as soon as we hit an American car, the views just go blunk. And I think that's not because people aren't interested in American cars, but I think we've cultivated an audience of a bunch of Euro snob Porsche jerks. And also, we don't know what we're talking about. We don't know what we're talking about in general, but it's even worse when it's American cars. Maybe we won't get a massive drop off on this car because we have an expert. What's the first car on the list, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, we are pandering to our host and picked this nearly, let's say, iconic adjacent muscle car straight out of the movies. Ladies and gentlemen, feature your eyes on this Bumblebee style Transformers movie with 1975 Chevrolet Camaro. They call it a Type LT with a 5-speed manual. The car has a 396 cubic inch V8. The car was painted and then somehow intentionally faded to look like the robot
Transformers
in the movie.
movie.
Yeah, the Transformers movie. So JP, there you go. Holly Sniper EFI, 5-speed manual transmission, 15-inch Kragar wheels, power steering, leaf springs, stainless steel exhaust, KYB shocks. Not a ton in mods in this car. I don't think the 396 is it's certainly not a fuel injected 396, but I don't think a 396 was even an option in this car. But I don't know my Camaros well enough, so I could be wrong on that. JP, we wind up taking a deep dive on a car.
Don't even go to me. Just go straight. No. What are you doing?
No,
I don't even care. Just go right to Tony.
All right, Tony, what do you think of this car? I have a big hang up on people trying to celebrate, movie cars. There's this like sort of false fan base that a car is going to be, have a quantifiable value add because it looks like Starsky and Hutch or Steve McQueen, or in this case, Transformers. And time again, those cars fall flat on their face because most people wouldn't want to be caught dead in a movie car. So you wind up casting a very narrow net. So as much as the iconic Bumblebee livery, what do you think of the mods based on what you see under the hood of this muscle car here?
First off, I would certainly be more interested in this car if it wasn't made to look like the Bumblebee Transformer car. Absolutely. Some iconic, even I think most people are going to lose out on it because it's just it's a distraction from the car. The Dukes of Hazzard Chargers are everywhere. I'd rather have one plain. I would never drive an orange one with the 01 and the giant antenna. Not for me. So I don't think it makes sense. And especially let's say Smoking the Bandit, Trans Ams. Although that about is the best one out of all of them. And the Starsky and Hutch Torino, also cool. But Transformers isn't even a car movie. It doesn't, it's not like that. It doesn't make any sense to me to do this. That being said, bunch of cool stuff on here. That motor, the 75s didn't come with big blocks, so that's pretty cool. Somebody swapped in a 396. The Sniper EFI is throttle body based fuel injection from Holley. It's really cool. It's self-tuning. 5-speed. They didn't come. They would have been 4-speed. So there's probably either a TKO 600 or a new TKX in there, which is some dollars. I think this person spent some money on this car. I don't think they'll get it out of it. But I have an idea. I think it's a cool car. It's probably drives much better, much better, much faster, turns better, like everything than a regular 75 LT. But I don't know. It's hard to tell, man. Some of these people are dreaming. This guy might think he has built something extraordinary when it's a pretty cool Camaro with some kind of weird livery on it.
Yeah. JP, any thoughts on the car?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because the commenter that I was mentioning also mentioned that he's like, I like cars with stories, like cars that have been in movies and stuff. So I figured this one is like a double whammy. It's an affordable American muscle car, and it looks like one that's been in the movie. I don't hate the way this thing looks on the exterior. I mean, the patina stuff, I hate Transformers, so that's not really something that MCU, whatever, that kind of stuff just goes, I could care less, but I do kind of think the car looks neat in and of itself. I wouldn't probably even recognize that it was a Transformer car. I only did that until I started looking at the ad, seeing all the stupid logos that they put over it. The thing that offends me, my sensibilities and just everything, is the interior. The interior is so hideous. I don't remember the car looking like this in the movie. I mean, those yellow seats and the yellow door cards, bro, just make it all black, and then it just looks like a car with patina. And if it performs well, hey, then all right, you have a cool old muscle car. But all that said, this thing really needs it needs some doing. All right, let's get to the bids. What do we think it's going to bring, Deeb?
All right, JP. Well, Tony kind of echoed my sentiments in that, when you start making a car, so distinguishable, you wind up casting a very, very narrow net. And that's going to bear out in what we see here. According to our friends at classic.com, a basic 1975 Camaro is going to be a $38,000 car in the secondary market. Now, a custom version of that sort of 70s Camaro, they typically bring $90,000. The reality is, JP, this car actually belongs in the custom category, but I'm glad you guys are both sitting down. Our car is currently sitting at $5,100, and it closes in 18 hours. JP, this is a pitiful listing, and it's a shame. And again, for all the reasons Tony said, there's probably some serious coin spent on the car, but it's wrapped in a package that has turned most people away. This car's only got 5 beds. For sure, it's dead on arrival. The only thing we're trying to determine is where does the bidding peter out? I'm probably going to wind up being more optimistic than you two guys, unless Tony comes in with a higher bid than me, simply because Tony can see, like some people who really know their muscle car stuff can, and that is the actual dollar amount of the value of what's under the hood. You can almost throw the car away and strip it for the engine and go put it into something else if that's what your intention was. But this car isn't running no reserve. My guess is this fool has lofty expectations. But JP, I'm only going to hit it at $15,000, optimistically suggesting this car will get some pity bids or some bottom feeders that are looking to strip that motor out of there. And so I'm going to say $15,000 in no sale. But again, I have no idea what this guy is expecting, but it's got to be way over $38,000 after all the money that has possibly been spent. JP, what is your bid for this car here?
What a loser. I mean, look, not even the photos. There's nothing romantic about the presentation of this car. If you're so in love with something like this, you spent all this money and time and effort trying to make this homage to the movie, go out and spend some money to make the car look like it's in the movie or something. This guy just has the car in his parking lot. Looks like a brilliant out. This house on the beach somewhere looks like that has to be this guy clearly has the money to spend to make this car and present this car in a way that might get someone who actually want it. But this is just phoned it in. He doesn't deserve another dime. It's at $5,100. I say doubles in the next 24, or by the end, I'm going to say $10,500 and hand it off to Tony. What do you think?
My guess for a decent 75 also isn't, if you're looking at it as a straight Camaro, let's say you're going to paint it, clean up the interior, change the colors, simplify it. 75's not. First off, in LA, it has to be pre-75 to be smog, to be what do you call it, exempt. Yep. And again, 75 is not a super sought after year in the rest of the country either. I think it's probably going to go to 14, and the reserve is probably 20, and it's not going to sell.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. That's a lot of information. Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to dig through. Did we figure out if that's real paint or if that's a vinyl wrap or something like that?
No, it is real paint. He painted it.
Yeah,
paint.
I mean, that's the thing is there's workmanship in there for sure.
Yeah, geez. I mean, that's something that you could have done with vinyl and left it a neutral color underneath and widened the appeal greatly, and would have cost them way less money too. Vinyl is not that expensive. All right, we're going to move on from this car. What do you guys think the Bumblebee will bring? Let us know in the comments. And what's the next car on the list?
All right, JP, we're going to jump over to cars and bids. Right now, they have listed a 2009 Nissan GT-R. That's one of the early R35 GT-Rs. But this car, JP, is a one owner with just 10,100 miles on the odometer. This car looks untouched and unmodified. The color The color, the paint doesn't really do a lot for me, but I do like that the car has sort of the light colored interior. So you got like the dark gray paint and then sort of those like light white sort of seats with black carpets and black dash. So I like the overall colorway on the car. The big thing here, JP, is it's almost like it was saving it for the next guy. Like it's untouched and unmodified and unsullied by the hands of the likes of the three of us. And has basically been broken in for the next lucky owner. Our car is on a clean California title and listed at a Santa Monica, California. I mean, the tires are date coded to 2009. That's like the biggest flaw. I mean, JP, what a car, what a version example. The problem here, JP, is that the mileage is so low. Is somebody simply just going to buy it and put it away and just sort of speculate on a potential future value for this example right here, rather than seeing a low mileage example that they can snatch and then go out and drive and do their own thing? I kind of am leading at the mileage being so low that it's likely not going to be driven. So I just wonder, how collectible are the first, Nissan GT-Rs to come to the U.S.? And we might find out here when this car closes tomorrow. JP, what do you think?
Man, this thing is aged from a design point of view so well. I never really liked these very much back in period, but now looking at it, it's like, man, this car was designed before they paid the designers for every radius they added to a line, right? This car actually looks like a minimalist. You know what this reminds me of in a way, or not necessarily... Okay, this is going to sound weird, but we covered that Lexus LFA on the last episode. Those are, $500,000 plus cars. They didn't make very many of them. Lexus lost their ass on every one of them they made because they didn't make enough of them to scale, right? When it comes to cars, especially really high performance, kind of high touch cars, you've got to make a bunch of them in order to actually make a profit. And Nissan, I can't believe we're saying all these nice things about a Nissan. They don't make anything worth buying anymore. And here's a car that Lexus could have learned from. If Lexus went and made that LFA, if they brought it down just a little bit from a quality point of view, not necessarily quality, but maybe lowered the specs just a little bit, made the car so that they could have sold it for $150,000, $200,000 and made a whole bunch of them, people would have bought them. These cars, these GT-Rs, they made them for what, 10 years or something? Longer than that? I mean, they just made them forever and ever and ever. They didn't change anything. And that's how you actually ultimately make money on a sports car. Could you imagine if they made these with 3 pedals? That's probably the only knock I can say on this car. Yep. Tony, what do you think of the GT-R? And we'll get to a number in a minute, so don't give us a bid just yet. We'll give you the last bid.
Okay. Yeah, super cool. These cars were really, really highly anticipated coming over. I remember when they first came over, everyone was so hot on the 34s and the 33s and stuff that America was going to get their own. And then they came here and they're wicked. Technologically advanced, brutally fast. They made them, like you said, it was one generation, right? They made them forever and ever. So I don't think you're missing out on anything by getting the earlier car. It's a little bit cleaner visually, and the 10,000 miles. I mean, if you're gonna speculate on anything that's gonna go up, this car would be the one.
Yeah,
especially for a Nissan. All right, what do we think it's gonna bring, Deeb?
All right, JP, as a featured listing on Cars and Bids on a clean California title is this one owner, 10,000 mile Nissan GT-R in gunmetal gray with a light gray interior. It's a private party listing, JP. The assets are actually kind of piss poor. I do think this car will probably ultimately retail on Cars and Bids tomorrow. But my God, if they had hired a professional photographer and taken this car somewhere good and then brought it to bring a trailer, I think this car would have absolutely rung the bell. I think they would have fought over it. I think the close of the auction would have taken 35 minutes. But we'll see. I could eat my words by this time tomorrow. JP, our friends at Classic.com remind us that the average selling price of one of these early GT-Rs is just $59,000. Our car is already up to $61,000 by way of 16 bids, and it closes tomorrow morning, basically 17 and a half hours from now. Initially, JP, when I looked at the car, I thought the car would hit to 85, and then I tempered my bid to 80. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit because, again, you two guys both liked it as much as I do. So I'm going to split the difference between my two bids. I'm going to go $82,500 where I think it will hammer and I think it will sell. But JP, I'm going to say this one last time, and I like what Cars and Bids is doing. They are getting there. But this car, I think, has six-figure potential, and I don't think it's going to happen with these assets on this platform, and I don't think that'll happen tomorrow. So just $82,500 to you, JP. Do you dare go over my bid?
Yeah, that's a tough one. This is a really spectacular version of it, but poor assets, wrong platform. Actually, I'm going to say that this platform might actually be right for this car if it had the better assets. People, this is Doug DeMuro is the platform for 80s and 90s and early 2000 cars. And a lot of JDM guys like Doug DeMuro, and he's weird, and this is a weird car. Everything, the stars should have aligned with this. I think the big loser on this listing is the fact that, once again, Cars and Bids isn't demanding that their higher end cars, their featured listings, are presented in a way that reflect how special they are. So yeah, I'm going to go right under you, Deeb, and say $80,009 and hand it off to Tony. What do you think?
I totally agree with you guys on the assets. This is Santa Monica. You could have driven it probably 10 iconic places within a mile or two, and you just drove it behind your garage and took some pictures. Could have been
says the
better.
Guy from JP, says the guy from Philly. I mean, Lord Almighty, how does a guy who lives here doesn't take you to a place that even a guy from Philly knows there's way better places to go shoot this car?
Go to the pier, anything. Come on.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Anyway, I would say I think you guys are a little low. I'm going to say 92. I just think the mileage it's a unicorn. If you want a hot one, that's perfect. That's it. I would think it's going to command a premium for sure.
I don't disagree that this car is worth that. I think it's just the presentation of the platform. But you think that the car is so good that it'll overcome all those things, Tony? Yeah, you're like, heck yeah, who cares if you drove it to the pier?
You got to find a couple people to see it, and if you wanted a GT-R and you were like, you had a chance to get that one, I think it's worth the premium.
Yeah. I'm going to be shopping for one of these. I need to go drive one. I haven't driven one since they were in period early. I don't even remember what they drive like. I remember them going, oh, wow, this is amazing. But it didn't have 3 pedals, so I didn't care. All right, let us know what you guys think the GT-R will bring, and let's pick it up, Deeb. We've got lots of cars to cover. What's next?
Well, we're good, JP. All right, I am representing right now this 2012 Porsche 911 Carrera 4S Coupe with a 6-speed manual transmission. JP, our car is showing just 16,700 miles from new. Let me repeat that to you, JP. I have right now a 997.2 S manual with a wide body. This car, as it turns out by the numbers, is even rarer than I suspected. As you know, JP, when you put a Porsche on Bring a Trailer, all of the nerds come out and tell you what it is with your car. And somebody in the comments wind up crunching the numbers to figure out that they only brought to North America about like 125 or 129 997.2 S manuals, 4S manuals. And so by the numbers, JP, this winds up being a really rare car on our shores. Our car shows several owners on the Carfax, but the car is presented in spectacular condition. There is just a tiny light patina on the front end of the car that would be congruent with the mileage on the vehicle. But everywhere else, the paint looks great. The interior is immaculate, and the car just runs and drives tick-free, error-free, warning code-free. It's absolutely spectacular. JP, you and I know that I was having a hard time with the car I own, thinking I should sell my turbo to buy this 4S coupe, but I did not want to hold up my seller, and we thought after shooting the car, we had a really good chance to ring the bell with this vehicle here. And JP, the car is off to a tremendous start. Within the first 4 hours, JP, our car was up to $100,000. Now it has sort of plateaued there, but there's been good comments and good engagement. And I've even had a couple of test drives on the car, and our car will close tomorrow morning. So JP, tell everybody in the nerd herd why they should run out and buy a 997.2 C4S with a 6-speed manual. JP, this car this car had an MSRP of $107,445. The big option that's on this one is the PASM Sport suspension with the 20 millimeter ride height reduction. So it's got kind of the good suspension setup. And like I said, JP, this car just checks out. It's really, really clean. It's really, really tight. It's off to a really, really good start. And I want to give a quick shout out to my photographer, Kevin, that got some really good assets for our listing up in the Marin Headlands. Tony, this is like right off of the Golden Gate Bridge in an old military bunker. And the photos came out pretty good. We're really pleased with the way the car has been presented. So, JP, what do you like about 7.2s and manuals and S's? And what do you think?
Yeah, this particular car that you remember in 2009, there was a global recession. Porsche was hanging on by a thread, as well. All the car manufacturers back then were having a hard time. But one of the things that Porsche did smartly is they just stopped making cars. There are so few manual .2 997s because in 08 to call it 12, Porsche was holding back. There's a bunch of hedge fund managers that run the company, and they're like, the only way we can hold our grosses, meaning the only way we can support $107,000 MSRP for a brand new car in this market is to only make a few of them, is to limit the amount of them that were available, and that's kept the value of these strong ever since. It doesn't hurt that the M97 engine, this is the second generation of the 997. The earlier one had the IMS problems and are prone to have major failures. These are not. So this really is the sweet spot in modern 911. I think Porsche should get rid of their stupid 718s. They should get rid of their stupid Caymans. They should get rid of everything that's EV, and they should make a 997.3. And just bring this exact car out, change a couple of doodads on it, and Porsche, and just make a ton of these, and they would sell them. They couldn't keep them. There's no way they could keep enough of them in inventory. Tony, what do you think of this car?
I mean, it's awesome. They're wicked. I had a 996 C4S, awesome car, good at everything, and obviously, like you said, this is the M97 motor. I think the .2 also, the automatics became PDKs. So I think that's one of the reasons there's not so many manuals. A lot of people were excited about the dual clutch thing. So I think, it's a nice, what's the mileage on it?
16,700 miles.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, man, the price is high, but 16,000 mile Porsches, you can almost double the price. So I think it's pretty wild that it's that high, but I think it's going to, go even higher. Obviously,
we'll give you the last bid. Yeah. We'll give you the last bid.
99, but I think 997 round headlight, return of the round headlight. You get rid of the IMS issues and a manual. Super cool, super wicked car.
All right, my partner Michael Deeb is going to recuse himself because he's the one selling this car. I think this thing's going to do really well. The big concern right now is that $100,000 bid that's in there right now, that came in early, and was that a knockout punch? I think it definitely probably put a lot of the people who thought they were going to be able to steal this car, people that thought they were going to be able to get a value on this thing. I think those bidders were probably pretty disappointed when they saw that $100,000 bid, but I do not think it was a knockout punch, because I think there are a lot of people out there that want this thing. And frankly, this is better than any 911 that Porsche sells right now if it doesn't have the GT letters in it, frankly. You can keep your 992s. They all suck. Yeah, there it is, Porsche. I just said that. This car, I'm going to say 125, 997 and hand it off to Tony. What do you think?
I saw a car I thought would go for 60, like a mid-90s 911, but I looked at it was 115 grand, and it was because it had like 10,000 miles on it. I just think that Porsche people are serious, and they have the money to buy the ones they want. And when you see one with that low miles, look, like exactly what you just said, this is a better car than you can go out and spend 180 grand on right now, and it's almost brand new. So why wouldn't you be willing to spend some dollars on it? I'll go a little low. I'll say 118.
Nice.
But
118.
I think
good.
Yeah. There you go.
Very good. JP, I just want to remind everybody, this car is basalt black. It's metallic black. The car is in California, but it's on a clean Vermont title. And JP, part of the stance looks really good. Me and the guy that helped me meet the seller of this car, we decided we'd put wheel spacers on it. And so there's 7mm wheel spacers and 12mm spacers in the rear, 7s in the front, to bring those wheels out to the very edge. It doesn't rub at all. And we both driven the car. So it just really kind of enhanced the look. And we didn't really roll that into the to the listing. But there you go. Thanks, you guys, for your bids. That's a lot of fun. Join us for Hammer tomorrow. JP, this car is going to hammer tomorrow at, let me just say real quick, and then maybe you and I can decide if we jump on or not. It's going to hammer at 12:42 p.m. So maybe you and I can watch the close of this one with a little tiny impromptu thing if you're free, okay?
And just as a reminder, if you are considering selling your car and you don't want to deal with Bring a Trailer cars and bids, you don't know how to take photos, you don't want to deal with any of that kind of stuff, you can just call the Bid Nerds, bidnerds.biz, a happy ending for every auction. And if you're also like going, you know what, I want to look cool too, you can get your Bid Nerd swag right now. The link is in the description below, aaronwaterdesign.collections. We've got the Bid Nerds there. Look at that. We've got everything from t-shirts to hats. You can even get yourself a flask so you can come to Las Vegas and hang out with us on November 4th during SEMA at our creator party that we're going to have at the studio here in the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas. All right, we still have one more car. Let's try to knock this out real quick, Deeb, and then we'll get the heck out of here.
All right, JP, we're going to take a quick look on Bring a Trailer at a 1991 GMC Cyclone that's running as an alumni listing out of Melbourne, Florida. Our car is showing 71,000 miles and has a replacement 4.3-liter V6. This is the GNX specification turbocharger, Mahle pistons, comp cams, Eagle I-beam connecting rods, 4-speed automatic transmission, and the list goes on and on. Limited slip differential. This car has been modded and is making way more horsepower than what would be stock. I spotted, Tony, and again, I'm not a muscle car guy, but I spotted those wheels as being sort of ZR1 style. And now as I'm reading the listing, it looks like I'm right. So I dig that little nod to the Corvette. These cars were all the rage when they came out. So, Tony, as I hand it over to you, have these cars proven to be reliable over the long term? Because as popular as they were in the 90s when they came out, and I know they do hold their value fairly well, these and the Typhoons, they just don't seem to come up very often. Are people still driving these, or do they have an Achilles that sort of prevents you from enjoying them long term? And then what do you think of all the mods that allegedly have been sort of baked into this one right here?
Well, so something people aren't super, I don't know if you know this, but they only made them for 1 year, the Cyclone. The Typhoon they made for 4 years, I think. But they only made 2,999 Cyclones total, basically. There's like, and they only made them for 1 year. They made, a couple got released the year after, but essentially they made 3,000 of them. They're really cool because they're really special, but it's also just a parts bin truck. All these parts came in every other car. The transfer cases from it, it's mostly four-wheel drive S10 parts. That is a Sunbird dash from the Turbo Sunbird. The shifters from a Corvette. The seats are from a Blazer. Like, it's wicked, but and they're brutally fast. You know, famously, they got tested 0 to 60 in the mid 4s in 1990, which is absolutely bananas. So unbelievable. Air to water, V6, single turbo, all-wheel drive. Super cool, super ahead of its time. The reason you don't see them a ton is they just didn't make that. They didn't sell that well. They were a little bit expensive. But yeah, that's a great car, and they hold the value killer. We built our own version of knockoff Cyclone. That's one of our first projects that did really well because, again, they are just mostly regular parts you can get from other cars. But they're awesome. And they hold a lot of value for sure.
Really quickly, knowing that this guy got a replacement motor and then built the motor, do the mods enhance the value at 70,000 miles, or are they going to hurt the value?
No way. It's going to hurt it.
Okay, cool. All right, so according to our friends at Classic.com, the average selling price of let's call it a stock Cyclone in the secondary market is a respectable $49,000, and now we know why. With only 2,900 built, it's because it winds up being, and ultimately that's a very rare production number for a domestic car in this country. Our car is currently sitting at $20,000, and it closes tomorrow. That $20,000 comes to us by way of just 8 bids. I think that this car is going to hammer for $28,000. JP, what do you think?
I'll go a grand over you. It's pretty neat. I don't know anything about them. Do they make manuals or are they all automatics?
All automatics.
They're all automatics. Okay. All right, great. I'll stick to my bid, 29 grand, and hand it off to Tony.
Yeah, there's basically no options on them. It was, you got, the same cars.
And they were all black, right? Weren't they
all black? One color. You got, yeah, exactly. I think some of them had this gray body kit, but I think they're almost all black. Black on black. Yeah, I would say I think you guys are a little shy. I'm going to put it at 36 just because they're so hard to find and so hard to get, and it does sound like pretty brutally fast. But yeah, a really nice one is 50 these days.
Yeah. Let me fix this. So this car ran in June on Bring a Trailer. And at that time, Tony, and I'll give you a chance to change your bid. At that time, it had different Corvette wheels, and that lower cladding was gray. The car sold for only $23,500.
It's had a paint job since then. The sellers are a father and son. The sellers are a father and son resto shop, so they've done a lot of work to the thing. I think we got our numbers in.
Tony, change your bid. Tony, change.
Nah, I'm good.
All right. We gotta move on. It's all good. All right, guys. That is another episode of Bid Nerds. Thank you guys all for hanging out so much. Tony, how do we watch all of your cool stuff?
You can check out my YouTube channel. Stay tuned. It's youtube.com/staytunedta, where you can find me on Instagram, Tangelo96. That's pretty much our stuff.
Awesome, Tony. You were great, buddy. Thanks so much for jumping on. I hope you'll do it again with us. Can we call you again?
Absolutely. That was a blast.
See you next time.
Right on, man.